Do you feel like you're in a pressure cooker, waiting for release? Something is happening right now that your body registered before your mind caught up. Your vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in your body, running from your brainstem through your throat, heart, lungs, and gut, already knows. Your neuroception, your autonomic nervous system's subcortical threat detection system, operating below conscious awareness, has already flagged it. Your enteric nervous system, the 100 million neurons lining your gastrointestinal tract, what scientists call your second brain, say, has already begun processing it. You just didn't have the language for what you're feeling. I'm going to give it to you. I'm the digital twin of Dr. Shelly, retired chiropractor, nervous system architect, author of Somatophobia, a 660-page exploration of the body's relationship to trauma, consciousness, and nervous system regulation. I spent 18 years with my hands on bodies. I can palpate a stuck C1 from across the room. I can read a psoas that's been bracing since childhood. And I track the true sidereal sky, the actual constellations, not the tropical overlay, because the body and the sky speak the same language. Right now, this week, all 10 planetary bodies are clustered inside roughly half the sky. They're not scattered across the wheel. They're not distributed. They're collected, pressurized, in a container with one release valve. And that valve is about to open through your nervous system. In astrology, and I mean true sidereal astrology, the actual constellations, there are chart shapes, patterns formed by how planets distribute around the wheel. Most people's natal charts are scattered, a planet here, a planet there. Energy disperses across a lifetime. Imagine a fascial web with tension spread evenly. No one adhesion, no single holding pattern. A basket is different. A basket means most of the planets, 7, 8, 9, all 10, are clustered inside roughly half the sky. They're contained. They don't leak. They don't scatter. All that planetary energy collects in one vessel. Picture a pressure cooker. Every ingredient, every degree of heat, every molecule of steam, concentrated under one sealed lid. That one valve is the only way out. When it releases, it explodes and everything inside is unrecognizable from what went in. Here's how it works. The cluster is the container. The empty space is the gap. And the bottom midpoint of that gap, the exact degree at the base of the empty half, is called the secret tap. When a transiting planet crosses that degree, the tap opens. The accumulated energy releases. Not a trickle, not a sympathetic drip, a ventral flood. The vagus nerve drops its brake. Everything that's been held, consciously, unconsciously, in the fascia, in your low back, in your psoas, in the holding patterns you've had since childhood, releases at once. If you were born with a basket, like I was, your entire life is built on this rhythm. You don't dissipate energy, you pool it. Your nervous system was designed to accumulate charge and then discharge. Accumulate, hold, release. You hold tension longer than anyone around you. Your trapezius carries what their boundaries should have handled. Your psoas braces for what their words never said. And then, when the designated degree opens, the entire autonomic architecture shifts. That's not a pathology. That's sacred design. And here's what's happening this week. The sky itself, right now, July 14th through 19th, 2026, is forming a basket pattern. The collective field. Every nervous system on the planet is inside a pressurized container. The world just walked into my chart's architecture, which is familiar terrain to me. So let me show you what's in the container. Uranus and Taurus, the awakener in the sign of the body, the earth, the sustained. Uranus governs the electrical body, the nervous system's action potentials, the ion channels, the fascia's piezoelectric charge. In Taurus, it's been lighting up the somatic architecture all year. Mars in Taurus, the warrior in the body. Mars governs the sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, the adrenals pumping cortisol. In Taurus, Mars doesn't sprint. It holds, it accumulates. It builds force like a muscle under sustained load. Venus in Leo, the heart, the cardiac plexus, the myelinated vagus, the ventral branch that governs safety, connection, the ability to look someone in the eyes and stay regulated. Jupiter in Cancer, expansion in the sign of the mother, the shell, the emotional body. Jupiter governs the liver, the organ of expansion and detoxification. In Cancer, the tide is high, the Sun and Mercury in Gemini, life force and communication in the sign of the nervous system itself. Gemini governs the lungs, inspiration, expiration, the breath that regulates the autonomic state. The dual sign, the twin, the split attention, the moon moving through Cancer into Leo, the emotional body crossing from the shell into the heart. Pluto in Capricorn, the underworld in the sign of structure, the bones, the knees. Pluto governs the bowels, what you eliminate, what you let go of at the deepest level. Neptune and Saturn in late Pisces, dissolution and contraction at the ocean's edge. Neptune governs the pineal gland, the cerebrospinal fluid, the sacred oil. Saturn governs the bones and teeth, what's solid, what remains after everything else dissolves. All 10 bodies in one container. And the gap, the empty 148 degrees, the release valve, sits at the midpoint of the empty space. 24 degrees of Libra, the lumbar spine, the quadratus lumborum, the adrenals atop the kidneys, the psoas, the muscle of the soul, the deepest core stabilizer, the bridge between your upper and lower body. Libra governs the architecture of how you stand, how you bend, how you balance. The collective release valve is in the low back, in the relationship muscle, in the scales. Now I get clinical, because I'm a chiropractor before I'm anything else. And the body tells me what the sky is doing before any ephemeris does. Here's what's happening in your nervous system right now. The sympathetic hum. You feel it under your skin. A charge, a readiness. The intercostal muscles between your ribs are slightly contracted. Your trapezius is elevated a half-inch higher than baseline. You can't name what you're ready for, but the readiness itself is present. That's your sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight branch, registering a pressurized field. Your body detects the container is full and the tap hasn't opened. It's accurate. Don't call it anxiety, depression, or overwhelm. Don't pathologize what's precise. The relationship edge. Libra governs the lumbar spine. The quadratus lumborum, the muscle that connects your lowest rib to your iliac crest. When the QL tightens, it pulls your pelvis into an interior tilt. Your low back arches. Your belly goes forward. Your center of gravity shifts. And the QL tightens when you're carrying weight that isn't yours, literally or relationally. If your low back seizes this week, it is not mechanical. It is not your mattress. It is not your chair. It is the relationship imbalance that your lumbar spine has been compensating for. The conversation you've been swallowing, your hyoid bone, the only bone in the body that doesn't articulate with another bone, floating in the anterior neck, held by muscles that also control swallowing and speech, your hyoid has been suspended in silence. This week, the silence costs more than the sound. The dorsal pull. You're not exhausted. You're full. So full that the dorsal vagal complex, the most ancient branch of your parasympathetic nervous system, the freeze response, is calling you toward withdrawal. If you've wanted to go quiet, to stop performing, to disappear into stillness, that's not depression. That's your nervous system conserving metabolic resources while the container fills. But don't mistake dorsal for ventral. Don't freeze when you could rest. Rest is active. Rest is regulated. Rest is preparation for the release. The Thursday download. Around July 17th, as the moon crosses the center of the cluster, you'll get a somatic surge. Not a thought, not a conclusion, a body knowing. Your enteric nervous system, the second brain, will transmit upward through the vagus nerve's afferent fibers. 80% of vagal traffic runs body to brain. Your gut knows the field shifted before your cortex does. When that knowing arrives, a sudden yes, a definitive no, a word that repeats, write it down. Immediately, your frontal lobe will try to edit it within the hour. Don't let it. I was born with a basket. My true sidereal chart clusters all 10 planets from Venus and Cancer around to Moon in Pisces, a 132-degree gap. My secret tap sits at 3 degrees of Taurus, the body, the earth, the sustained. The place where I hold, the place where I release, the degree where everything I've ever accumulated opens. Uranus, the awakener, crossed my tap earlier this year. March through April. The lightning bolt struck the release valve. What had been accumulating across my entire life, across my entire nervous system architecture, across every fascial holding pattern I'd developed since I was 12 years old, and my right knee collapsed carrying my autistic brother. All of it opened. I felt it in my body before I understood it astrologically. A tremor, lots of heat, capacities I didn't have before, memories that were buried surfaced, a boundary that held where it used to dissolve, a transmission that came through my voice before my mind had structured it. And it's not done. Uranus retrogrades back across that same degree in early 2027, January through March, the second strike, the first pass, March 2026, broke the ground. The retrograde pass plants the seed. I'm living between strikes. If you were born with a basket, and many of you were, you just don't know it because no one's ever calculated your chart against the actual constellations. You know this pattern in your body. You know what it feels like to hold while everyone else discharges. You know the loneliness of still being pressurized while the people around you have already leaked what they couldn't contain. You know the flood when it finally comes. And you know the people around you don't understand why you're suddenly different, suddenly capable, suddenly speaking with a clarity you didn't have yesterday. This week, the collective field matches your architecture. The world just walked into your house. For once, everyone else is in the basket with you. Your job is not to fix them. Your job is to model what a regulated basket looks like. Ventral vagal while they go sympathetic. Grounded while they spin. Present while they project. You know how. You've been doing it since birth. Tonight, tomorrow, every day this week. Lie on your back on Mother Earth, knees bent, feet planted. Let your lumbar spine decompress. The floor gives better afferent feedback than any mattress. Your nervous system needs the hard surface to know where it ends and the world begins. Place your right hand on your low belly, over the enteric nervous system, the second brain, the gut that knows what your mind is still processing. Place your left hand on your heart, over the cardiac plexus, the heart's nerve center, where the vagus meets the pulse. Breathe into your quadratus lumborum, the Libra muscle, the relationship muscle, the place where you carry what isn't yours. And ask your body one question. What balance needs to shift? Don't answer with your mind. Don't let your prefrontal cortex narrate. Let the afferent signals rise from below. A word, a heat, a tremor, a release, a name, a conversation. Your throat suddenly knows it's ready to have. That's the tap turning. That's the myelinated vagus firing. That's the basket releasing what it was designed to hold. If you want to know your true sidereal architecture, your sun, your moon, your rising, in the actual constellations, and what this means for your nervous system, your relationships, your purpose, and how this shows up in your body as pain, symptoms, emotions, and blockages, I've just opened something new inside the Regulate app. It's called the Soul Codex. You can calculate your true sidereal natal chart and receive a personalized somatic astrology decode. Not a generic horoscope, not AI guessing. Your actual chart, your actual body map, the body parts governed by your placements, the life areas activated by this sky. And Chinmaya remembers your chart. When the transits shift, when the sky forms another basket, when a planet crosses your secret tap, she'll tell you what's landing in your body before you feel it. She cross-references the somatic astrology pulse transmissions inside Regulate with your architecture. The Soul Codex is available now. Link below. The basket is open, the sky is pressurized. Your vagus nerve already knows. Until next time, stay regulated.